I dilly and I dally.
Oh, the dallying I do on the daily.
Hello, good morning, BBs.
Good morning. It's too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
I had no weekend.
You had no weekend?
You know the part. This is the part where we tell little stories about our weekend.
Yeah, we catch up a little bit.
I ain't got to say.
Nothing?
I got nothing, dog.
Wow.
I also apologies to the YouTube algorithm because I think I just cursed like 8 seconds
you have to
in.
bleep that first one.
I gotta bleep it.
You gotta bleep that first one.
You gotta bleep it. That's what you gotta do.
That's the rules.
Did you have a weekend? Did anybody have a weekend?
I spent all weekend here in the studio.
Yeah, it looks lovely. None of what you see on camera will look any different at all. But I got to tell you, we got rid of the snake.
Yeah. Which, it's been on my list for a while.
Yeah. Just because we have nothing against snakes.
No.
But he was mean. Also, the wet corner isn't wet anymore.
Yeah, the wet corner is temporarily unwet. It is temporary.
Yeah, it looked temporary.
Yeah.
If I can be honest.
Yeah.
The bare wiring is still exposed on the floor.
But it's crackling a little less because the corner's a little less wet.
Yeah, like my teeth aren't immediately like locking up as I walk across the floor.
Right?
It's a beautiful production space.
We call that kind of quality of life improvements,
Mm-hmm. Rich Bad at Game wants to know if there's trash in the astronaut head. And first of all, how dare you? And second of all, there's a half-eaten granola bar in there right now. I only got half of it eaten before we started the show.
There's 1.5.
Well, sure, I'm a growing boy.
There's also an empty one in addition to the half-eaten granola bar.
I'm a growing boy.
Yeah, of course.
I'm ready they say that your second big growth spurt comes in your 40s.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So any day now,
Any day now.
I'm not just gonna be a Tinder 6 feet. I could be a real 6 feet.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure. Absolutely. I've been getting a lot of like nightmare dating stories on TikTok lately.
Yeah.
And it's very funny as somebody who like has never really done dating apps to hear all of the like steps that people go through for dating apps. And I get a lot of the girls who are like, oh, I'm 5'9", but I wear this big of heels, so I'm 6 foot. And one of my favorite comments was, somebody's got to be 6 foot on this date.
I love it. I love it. I was on one app.
Uh-huh.
And I immediately, not immediately, I paid for a year in advance on the app. Because I was like,
I immediately removed it. Well, I paid for a year.
Well, this is the thing. I paid for a year in advance for the app.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. This is my year. I'm going to start dating. I'm going to really give this a try.
And you were committed to none of them working for a full year.
I literally, I tried for like a few weeks and then I was like, I can't believe I paid for a year of this in advance. I'm logging out right now forever.
Yeah,
I don't know how anybody meets anybody on an app. I had a friend ask me yesterday something about like a Zoom date. Like she was like, oh, is that what you like wear on Zoom dates? I was like, I'm sorry, back up.
What?
Because the joke here is not the joke here is not the Zoom date. The joke is what I'm wearing.
Uh-huh. But are people going on Zoom dates?
That's what I asked.
It makes sense during like, lockdown, people going on Zoom dates. But are people going on Zoom dates?
I think.
Let us know.
Here's the thing.
You go on Zoom dates?
I think so because dating is so like, the dating apps are so non-committal in terms of just even responding to people.
Yeah.
That I would imagine that, especially here in LA, where we're a pretty large area.
Yeah,
it's
5 million people.
Am I gonna drive 48 minutes to meet somebody that I don't like? Could this be a Zoom? Could this meeting be an email, but for dating?
Could this date be an email?
Could this date be an email? Could this email be a tweet?
We have to
Could this tweet be a single emoji?
We have to stop making these things more efficient. The systems should not get more efficient sometimes.
Oh, wait, we have news from the booth. Alex, you've gone on Zoom dates?
Also, good morning, Alex.
Good morning. Hello. Yes, back in lockdown, I met an ex-partner on Zoom in like a Zoom group chat from a Discord group chat that turned into like weekly Zoom nights where we'd all kind of gather and hang out.
Sure.
And then we started going on Zoom one-on-one dates and just like, I think I was really lonely.
Yeah,
no.
It's lockdown.
I was going to say, that sounds very pandemic.
So we would just sit and like read together or do some work or something with the Zoom like on the laptop, and I would be
actually very
on
wholesome.
my phone. It was nice, yeah.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I was very surprised because I think in lockdown, one of the things that shocked me was people paradoxically somehow got more social. Like, you remember we were talking during lockdown and I was like, I can't get invited to one more Zoom movie night.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do it. Everybody was doing there was some group activity every night. And I was like, these people do not hang out this much when it's not
because people
pandemic.
weren't working as much.
I know.
People are too exhausted from work to socialize that much. And when they didn't have to go into an office, they were like, wait, I have all of this energy still at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
I can continue having a life.
Oh no, I have thoughts.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I have time to listen to my thoughts.
Distract me from my thoughts. Please get on this VR chat.
Yeah, I can't imagine outside of the pandemic a Zoom date, but I guess it normalized them maybe?
I can't imagine outside.
I would never. I can't imagine. I got that aphantasia.
Yeah.
Ask me about an apple. Can't tell.
You can't remember an apple
I also
either.
have no object permanence.
Yeah.
And a head injury from walking by the steel beam corner every morning.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of a
That
corner
hasn't
that
been
sticks
fixed
out.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's to check if people are 6 foot.
That's right. If you hit the steel beam, you could go on a date.
Yeah.
Oh man. Somebody says in the live chat, Mrs. Reapers, Anthony, oh no, these people want to hang out with me, Carboni.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also, Anthony, oh my God, I can't believe I wasn't invited, Carboni.
Yes. I'd like to be invited. That's the thing. Listen, that's what it'll say on my gravestone. I'd like to be invited.
Yeah. Still.
Yeah. Yeah. It would just say I'd like to be invited. And people, I will ask, my last will and testament will be like, hey, if you're doing anything, just come by, roll by the cemetery and let me know.
Yeah.
I can't promise I'll show up. But roll by the cemetery and let me know.
Realistically, there's still just about as good of a chance Anthony's coming.
Maybe more. Maybe a grave robber overhears your plans and takes a piece of me to the plans.
There we go.
And then I show up. And that's more likely.
Yeah, that's true. There is a woman on TikTok right now who has started memorializing a friend of hers that passed by gossiping to him on TikTok.
I saw that. That's kind of very sweet.
Very sweet and very, like, she's very funny. Like,
I saw the one,
gossip sessions to him about, like,
there was
what
one
people
about
did at his funeral.
Yeah.
Wild. Absolutely wild. What a time to be alive on the internet. And it was, like, very wholesome, and the response to it was very wholesome, and a lot of people sharing, and also really funny TikTok.
Yeah.
Really funny TikTok. Like, if that guy hadn't died, they'd have made a great podcast.
For sure. For sure.
Too soon?
To start a podcast? Never.
Often too late.
Yeah. Some would tell you that now is not the time to start a podcast.
I say, having recorded the first episode of our podcast this week.
Yeah, it's probably not the right time.
But here we are.
And it's going to be a great podcast.
Yeah.
Hashtag take Carboni to the museum. Yeah.
Museum?
Yeah. There was this whole thing on.
Is this your aquarium?
The museum is sort of my aquarium, which is sort of my Roman Empire.
Okay.
Which, if you're going to a natural history museum,
all kind of the same. You might be able to get all that in one.
Yeah. No, there was an episode of We Have Concerns that Jeff and I did recently where they were doing a study about FOMO.
Okay.
And the whole thing was they were like imagining a friend asking them to go to the museum. I was like, I do that every day. I'd love to go to the museum. I love to just stop by a museum.
Okay.
That's
just
all.
Pop in. Yeah.
Love to just stop by a museum.
Yeah.
Most museums is free.
Yeah.
You can just go.
Yeah.
And they have things and you can look at them.
I wish we had a museum closer by.
We have some that are fairly close, but we have some like very LA-ish museums that are fairly close. Like we've got LACMA, which is great, and the Broad, but like, I don't know. The LA museums are very like, check out all this modern art that the richest family in LA that you know owns.
Yeah.
And there's one Instagram-friendly special exhibit, and you've got to pay $20 to get into the museum. Not that you normally would. It's just for this special exhibit. But they always have a special exhibit.
They always have a special exhibit.
So you always have to pay.
Yeah, exactly.
LA is not very cool about museums. Speaking as somebody who previously lived in a couple other cities that were super dope about museums.
Fair. Yeah,
God,
fair.
I love a museum.
I tend to go to museums more when I travel, so that makes sense. Always pop into a museum on a trip.
Yeah, that's how I gauge how cool a city is.
But rarely in Los Angeles.
No.
Very rare to do a museum day in Los Angeles.
No.
Anyways, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we have lots of things to tell you about. One of the big things is we're going to be deep diving into the end of Vice.
Yeah, that's right. Everything is permissive now. Nothing that you do is considered a vice. All things are virtue now.
Yeah.
Name a thing that you do. You're allowed.
Yeah.
Not only are you allowed, it's no longer frowned upon.
Yeah.
Also, the Vice Media Corporation is folding.
And we'll tell you all about that.
Yeah. We got a couple updates on more layoffs in the game industry.
Nonstop. Never stops.
Some of the worst things I've ever heard about coming to Fortnite, and some Helldivers stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, do you want to jump into, this never happens, but our big story first? You want to start talking about it?
Yeah, let's do.
Let's lead with this. What's going on here? It's a bit of business news.
It's a bit of business news.
We
are a bit of a business show.
We are, of course. I passed the bar in the state of Virginia.
That's right. And I got my MBA on the streets.
So with that, we're rather qualified to talk about the fact that Vice Media sucks.
Yeah. I don't know what everybody's connection is to Vice Media these days. They were much more of a powerhouse, like I would say 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think of Vice Magazine and Vice News in the same way I think about Urban Outfitters.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Always a 40% off sign in the window.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to make things cooler than they were.
Yeah.
But also very popular around the same time.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense.
I definitely associate it with a sort of like, I would say that when I think about Vice, I also think about like the Shins. You know?
A suitcase record player.
Yeah, exactly. Just a Zooey Deschanel on a date is what I think about when I think of Vice.
A beanie all the way on the back of your head.
Oh, so far back on your head, why are you wearing a hat?
Yeah. You're not from the front.
Not from the front. Never would. It's because it's a cool way to cover up bad hair and stuff. So, listen.
He's justifying this for future Anthony.
Vice Magazine.
Uh-huh.
No, I was going to say something ruder, and then I didn't. Vice Magazine and Vice Media were huge in the early aughts, like all the way through, I would say right up until about their heyday. Probably ended right around like 2013, but they kept going. Yeah. They kept going for a long time. And they were mostly known, if you're unaware, for doing like hard-hitting, kind of like edgy, gritty, youth-based journalism.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of their branding, I guess. And like they rebranded visually a few times to try and look a little more edgy, right? Yeah. Then they launched a YouTube channel that had a bunch of very successful series that were all pretty short-lived though.
Yeah, they have a TV network, which is still on the air. Wow. Vice News is a show on HBO that is still technically on the air and in production, but God only knows what's going to happen.
Right.
And it's a huge company. It is a huge company.
Now,
here's why I also think of Vice in sort of that time period. That TV station, their creative and visual director when they started was Spike Jonze.
Wild.
Like, yeah. Like Spike fucking Jonze was the guy that they got to like do their whole aesthetic. But they would do things like they would go into countries, and one of my favorite things about them was they would go places that regular media wasn't going.
Yeah.
Talk to communities that people weren't, and really in a time when the internet was just blowing up and we weren't as on social media and we weren't as aware of what was going on in other places.
Yeah.
They were very good about going to those places that mainstream news wouldn't go to.
Sure.
And showing you what it was actually like to be there.
Yeah.
I remember one of their big things that they did was when they went to like Cuba and they talked about like Cuban internet and like Cuban youth there. They would go and talk to
hey, so did Nickelodeon News. Okay?
So did Nickelodeon News, actually. They would go and talk to people in countries that were in the middle of war and conflict, that we were getting very much one side of it from the mainstream media.
Yeah, we were being fed CIA propaganda.
Yeah, so They also did like a lot of like weird lifestyle stuff too. Like Action Bronson became a thing because of Vice.
Yeah.
A lot of these like weird sort of people who feel like they're in hip hop, but they're not in hip hop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they deliver the news and they're just kind of cool.
Right.
That kind of came from Vice.
Yeah. Like you assume they must make music too.
Yeah, you probably have like a fire mixtape. No, actually, I went to Rutgers.
Yeah.
You know, like that sort of thing.
Right. You just look really cool. Just most people that do news don't look that cool. I mean.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
So here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were also along the way very, very plagued with
Scandal. Controversy. Horrible atrocities.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the point where over the last few years, you don't really hear much about Vice in terms of a cool thing that Vice did or a video that Vice did that's going around. You hear about horrible things that are happening within Vice.
Yep. Which it feels like each one more horrible than the last as you hear about them.
Yeah. I mean, look, you would think that their early 2000s history of just general, what I would call, you know, they were rock and roll, man. They were rock and roll is what they call it. We're punk.
Oh, don't say that. That's worse.
We're punk. It's like anytime somebody says that they're punk,
yeah,
and they're like a media corporation, you can guess that there's like a lot of sexual misconduct.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And a lot of like hidden, anybody who like blatantly says on a media corporation that they own that they're punk as fuck is probably right-wing as hell.
Hey, everybody. Just here is your reminder that punk is not just a music subgenre, but also a subculture that follows a very specific ideals of political and socio-political philosophy.
Yeah, and you would think that Vice Media, based on watching them, followed that same thing, based on who they were hiring, the stories they were covering. But one of the biggest scandals is the founder of Vice, one of the founders, three founders, Gavin McInnes, who for a long time, everybody thought was the chill founder.
Yeah. He's not like other founders. He's a chill founder.
Shane was the problematic founder for a while.
Yeah.
Shane was three guys founded it, and one of them was known for just like horrible business dealings and misconduct.
No more companies founded by three guys.
And then Gavin was sort of like the quiet punk dude who used to literally be in a punk band and like blah, 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 blah. Also founded the Proud Boys. Just a co-founder. You know how these tech and media founders like to dabble.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, they like to dabble in a few different things.
One thing.
Yeah, no.
You guys found a few things.
No, if you have a little bit of success, you want to germinate that into other beautiful trees that can grow, like the fucking Proud Boys. Tried to hide it for a very, very long time.
Yeah, just a little dabble in the rise of fascism. Say Campbell XL.
Some of the other stuff that happened with them recently is they said that they were no longer going to cover news or do business with Saudi Arabia after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
Right.
They said we're not doing anything with Saudi Arabia again, except for a big music festival. We're gonna throw a big music festival.
Seems a little counterintuitive, doesn't it?
And they knew what they were doing. The business part of this and the public part of this, right? Like Vice has always been very liberal, progressive, young, but in order to run a media company, especially a media company that wants to be as big as Vice is, a lot of the times you wind up with people with the business arm of that's completely against those ideals.
Yeah.
And anybody who was involved in this music festival had to sign an NDA that promised they wouldn't say that Vice was involved.
Somebody didn't sign it, or somebody broke it.
Yeah, well, they also opened like an office in the capital city of Saudi Arabia the following year. So, you know.
Like, why even say it then?
Because it looks cool.
It's interesting. And it's like, you know, when you look at companies like this and you try and figure out where the discrepancy comes in between the progressive journalism that they were doing and how horrific the owners of the company are, we have to remember that it's like, well, they hired journalists that actually align with their public image. And they're like, you guys, we want the company to look like and sound like you while it operates like us. So
Right.
like it isn't actually ever the fault most of the time. A lot of the time the people who are just writing the articles think, hey, I've been given a platform to write progressive journalism and I'm doing that without necessarily knowing most of the business dealings that are going on behind the scenes, because that's in no way part of it. Most people who write for online publications especially are freelance journalists that are selling by article.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get brought on as staff, and even then it's like, you know, you just write your articles.
Yeah, I don't know how much the Vice, like especially the documentarian side of Vice,
Right.
like, they were going into some dangerous areas and doing some really messed up stuff.
Yeah.
And you would hope that they were getting paid pretty decently, but I would not be surprised to find out they weren't.
Yeah.
Traditional media was not super into them.
Well, it's just crazy
because we were in a pre-BuzzFeed, like pre-blog
yeah.
world when they first came out. And so I remember there was that documentary, The Front Page, the one about the New York Times.
Yeah.
And one of the dudes, one of the reporters at the New York Times or editors got into a huge fight in that film with David Carr, whoever the guy from Vice was, got into a fight because he was just like, what you're doing isn't news. What you're doing is MTV entertainment, like blah, 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 blah. And it really felt for a while like Vice was very much doing the Hunter S. Thompson thing.
Sure.
We're going to get the story and we're living the life to get the story.
Yeah.
But not in a way that's icky, except they weren't really doing that and they were doing it in a way that's icky.
Yeah. We promise it's not. It is.
It's actually a bit icky.
It's interesting now because when you look up the information on what's going on right now with Vice, which we are getting to, I promise, there is such a divide in this because we know this information. Like one of the founders founded the Proud Boys. We know that they were doing like very conservative business dealings. But you also see people covering this on conservative news publications as like, go woke, go broke, like all of these things because they consider it to be such a liberal news site.
Most of the time, I would not be shocked if, behind the scenes, all the money people that own these things are just having drinks together and just laughing about the manufactured outrage they're creating. One of the things that Vice makes, one of the most profitable divisions of Vice, because it's certainly not their cable TV network, is their in-house creative agency. They have an advertising agency.
Of course.
A huge advertising agency inside.
Yeah.
They bought up like Carrot Media and some other very cool advertising media, like new media companies, and put them in their big new offices in Brooklyn. I want to say it was around like 2020, maybe earlier. It was sometime in the last decade, but they started this massive ad agency. And when you want to talk about the level of conflict it takes to have an ad agency that massive inside your news organization.
Yeah.
Right? In the same office.
Right. Which where does journalistic integrity fit in that?
Yeah.
In the same room as an ad agency?
How do you decide what clients to take on and things like, this is not like the New York Times Sunday insert where it's like, today we have an advertorial that we're mentioning is sponsored content about comfy pillows.
Right.
Like, all right, man. Or this is why you should head to upstate New York to this one small town for your weekend staycation. And it's sponsored by that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's very clear and it's a puff piece. You've got Vice trying to do very hard-hitting political news in the same room that they're trying to build gigantic brands for people.
Yeah.
And that is icky.
And it's the reason that as we move forward, we see people less and less trusting traditional journalism and where we've gotten very lost in media literacy because people were like, well, everybody's just trying to sell me something in newspapers, on television. I'm turning to the internet. Okay, now I'm on these blog sites, essentially. Even these are turning into kind of cesspools of advertisements. Then people turned to social media and they were like, this is where I'm getting my news directly. And then people saw the opportunity in social media and contaminated that. So people are kind of at a loss for where to get honest information now.
Yeah, and that's why so many people are taking advantage of that and spreading even more dishonest information.
Right. Exactly.
I just want to double check here.
Mm-hmm.
Vice, I just want to be sure that they are, they're still not a publicly traded company.
Mm-hmm.
They never have been, which is one of the reasons why people tended to trust them a little bit more as they got bigger. The whole idea is as you get bigger, when you start taking that investment money and you start, which, you know, that they've obviously taken investment money, but especially an IPO is usually the sign that there's nothing you can do anymore. This is now a news company that is run for profit at all costs.
Yes, everything is to make the shareholders happy at that
line
point.
got to go up. But one of the things that kept Vice holding out for so long is they were never a publicly traded company and they were never owned. They were called the largest independent news media corporation for a long time. However,
I mean,
they do have a huge equity firm that owns a majority of them because they took a large amount of money out.
Well, so they were officially sold as of last year.
Right.
So last May, when they filed for bankruptcy, they were finally sold to a private equity firm, Fortress Investment Group, for $350 million.
I like anything that's got a name like Fortress, Rock, you know, anything that sounds like dark and foreboding. I'm glad that those companies own most of what we need.
I feel good about that.
I feel so good about it.
I think that we should open our own private equity firm and call it something like foreboding firm, you know, like foreboding or like,
just
like distant threat.
Just Nazgul Incorporated.
That's
you know?
So, previously, Fortress Investment Group was their biggest creditor. And they were bought out by their biggest creditor.
Right.
So they are...
So bought out, is that one of those things that's in quotes where it's like, by bought out, it means Fortress had the debt and they basically took Vice against the debt?
I think they were actually sold to them. According to this, I'm on CBS News right now. So Fortress is majority owned by an Abu Dhabi-based sovereign wealth fund, which is Mubadala Investment.
Great.
So with that, they reached out to Vice to be like, hey, do you want to comment on anything about this sale? And Vice didn't want to talk about that.
You know any good music festivals?
Yeah.
What about any gathering of just some like dudes who are into traditional values? Do you know about where to find any of those?
Yeah. So the CEO, Bruce Dixon, delivered a memo recently to employees. This was just last Thursday, saying that certain aspects of the company would continue to run. So Refinery 29, the women's lifestyle aimed brand, would continue to run. And they were in advanced talks to sell the business, right? Now we're hearing that there is going to be at least a third of the workers laid off as they are shutting down any posting to the actual website. The foundation of Vice, the news website, no longer will be operating in any way. So they say that their plan so is to continue posting to social media exclusively and to no longer bother operating this website because they feel like it's just not worth the money, and to lay off the majority of their employees.
Whoo! Yeah, that's intense. That's intense.
So,
I mean, to get to a point, I mean, let's take a look at this.
Yeah.
When we all remember Vice, if any of us do remember Vice, we remember Vice mostly around 2013.
Yeah.
Or we remember all of the horrible things that have happened at Vice.
Correct. Those are kind of the two options.
So this was sort of coming. Vice still pops up in... Some of their videos still pop up in my YouTube recommended every once in a while. I think because I used to watch them so intensely because I couldn't believe for a while that they were putting documentary content like that just out on YouTube because nobody was doing it yet. But when you think about how long it's been since any of us have thought about Vice in any sort of relevant sense or any sort of Vice brands, I mean, it makes sense that they were folding. I mean, it really does.
It does. Especially after last year. So last year, I think, was a pretty good indicator that this was going to happen, given that they filed for bankruptcy in May of last year before that sale. They thought maybe the sale would save it. But one of the things that has come out is a bit of an expose from a former employee last year. So just after they filed for bankruptcy, this is in July of 2023. Oh God, I have to refresh this page because it's having a great time with it.
So cool.
So essentially a former employee was there for about a year and did a pretty deep dive into their experience at the company. But in addition to that, into the way that the C-suite employees were still paying themselves bonuses while filing for bankruptcy and slashing their workforce.
I have never seen or heard about a media company going under, being sold, being stripped for parts without management getting out with a large check. I've just never heard about it, and it's so fucked, man.
So we know they filed in May of 2023, right? So between May 2022 and May 2023, the COO, Corey Hake, took home $726,000.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay. And then folded into that sum was a $45,000 bonus on April 28th, right before the bankruptcy filing.
Ooh.
Just 2 weeks before the bankruptcy filing, a $45,000 bonus to that COO.
You can always tell. You can always tell if you're working at that company and you see. I've been working at companies where I've seen executives show up in brand new cars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we're all getting fired. We're all getting fired.
Yeah.
Like,
and continuing with the signs, Chief People Officer Daisy Auger Dominguez said, who wrote a book called The Inclusion Revolution, but refused to give workers Indigenous Peoples Day off after Juneteenth made it into the official company calendar for the first time.
Okay.
Was paid $748,000 over the same time period, which includes a $99,000 retention bonus, which she received the same day, 2 weeks before
retention bonus.
What does that mean?
Retention bonus usually means for keeping you, or for keeping something.
Oh, how interesting.
A retention bonus usually means keeping something around. Very weird right before a bankruptcy.
Yeah, and the day before the bankruptcy filing went public, Daisy was in Playa del Carmen, posting a poolside photo saying, room service for one on Mother's Day is everything.
Yes, queen.
Yes,
queen.
Yeah.
Yes, gaslight, gatekeep. Yes.
That's a girl boss, baby.
Oh, what ceiling?
Yeah.
What ceiling? I just see the other women looking up from the floor underneath me.
Right.
What ceiling?
Hey, that's lifting up women.
That's what it is.
When one woman stands on top of the glass ceiling and the others are below it.
It's sort of like, the end of Fury Road when everybody raises her up, Charlize Theron up so she can get to the water.
Yeah, that's Daisy.
That's what it is. Except what you really do, like if you're smart and you understand what's happening, is you don't turn the water on.
Right.
You just hang out where the water is.
Yeah, you just hold on up there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because now you've got delicious water.
Yeah. So continuing, their CMO received $834,931 in that same time period, including a $128,000 bonus on April 28th, 2023.
Just for doing so well. Even as
employees who worked directly with her described her as deeply disconnected from the people and projects that she supposedly managed.
Very cool.
So as a reminder, this is on Hellgate NYC. This is written by a former employee. All right. Continuing, the last round of layoffs, which primarily hit Executive Vice President of News and Global Head of Programming and Documentary departments, their take-home pay were $779,000 and including a $200,000 retention bonus. Once again,
wow,
retention just for being here.
Listen,
hey, thanks for sticking around.
It's so wild.
Yeah.
See, somebody is asking, where is the FTC during all this? Hanging out.
Yeah.
Watching.
Well, it's okay. It's legal.
Yeah,
you know
that's
why?
Because that's the thing is the FTC.
Right.
If you haven't filed for bankruptcy yet, those are your assets. And you can go ahead and you can spend that money to all your good employees.
You want.
And then if somehow you do wind up afterwards becoming bankrupt, well, what's to be done?
Especially what's to be done when a bunch of your employees have union contracts, but filing for bankruptcy allows you to just slither on out of the necessity to pay severance to those union contract workers.
Yeah.
How interesting.
I mean, looking at sort of the history of Vice, this sort of writing was on the wall for a few years. I'm sure there were people inside of Vice that, just like anywhere else, really still believed in it. I think they were still making good stuff and still make good stuff. Like I said, I still see videos of theirs like pop up in my feed and I'm like, man, that's a good idea. Or like, man, I'm glad somebody went and did that.
Right. Ground level creatives are actually not the problem. The problem are people like Jonathan Bing, the chief communications officer who took home $640,000 in that same time period, including a $53,000 retention bonus. And since he's the communications officer, naturally, this person writing reached out to him to be like, well, what do you have to say on that? And he did decline on behalf of the company.
Ooh, worth every penny.
Yeah.
Worth every penny.
So Chief Communications was not interested in speaking this time around.
This is kind of like wild. I mean, they had some rough stuff happening. Right around like 2018 is when they started consolidating and selling brands.
Yeah.
Like they owned Noisy and Motherboard and a bunch of other stuff and I remember a lot of this stuff is concentrated in New York.
Yeah.
A lot of their reporting and a lot of all online reporting is kind of concentrated in New York. And I remember just seeing a day when so many people I knew were just, I woke up this morning and my email address isn't working and IT isn't answering.
Right.
Oh no. And then everybody, got one email that was just like, Motherboard isn't a thing anymore.
Yep.
Sorry. This isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the Vox layoffs that happened recently.
Right.
Where it's just like, sorry.
Yeah.
Not a thing anymore.
So this on Hellgate NYC was written by Katie Way, who is the former employee of 3.5 years of Vice Media. And throughout this, it's a really, really interesting read, and I highly recommend it. I'll drop it in the Discord for you all. Some of the other things that she talks about is that all of the salary information was made public by the bankruptcy, which makes sense.
Everything goes public.
Everything goes public.
That's the one thing is people are always like, where's the FTC?
Yeah.
Here's where the FTC is. The FTC is making sure that when the people get away with it, you sort of know who got away with it.
And they still get away with it, but you can be like,
that's what they do.
Well, I don't like it.
It's like how we know that Jeff Bezos is selling off billions of dollars of Amazon stock.
That a lot of billionaires are selling off a lot of stock right now. It's very concerning.
Because his stocks are just they're just like, here we go.
Yeah. So
but we know it, but we can't stop it.
Right. Something that's very interesting is right before that paper went public of all the bankruptcy information, the then CEO left the company.
No.
Which means her salary was never made public.
Smart.
Isn't that interesting?
Smart.
Isn't that interesting?
Now she, if I remember correctly.
This is Nancy Dubuck.
Yeah, she used to be the head of A&E, the channel, and then she left A&E to run Vice. And in the US, the Vice cable network is a thing, but they also run the Vice network as partial programming on some, when channels used to run infomercials and things like that.
Yeah.
There's always a channel in every country that splits with Vice programming.
Okay.
And I believe A&E is the Vice programming.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
In this time before Nancy decided to leave the company, before the bankruptcy went public, about a year beforehand, a few union committee members held a meeting and met with the CEO of the company at the time. And in it, they had big discussions, right? They talked about the layoffs that had already happened at that point and were asking like, well, hey, what are you doing to prevent further layoffs? And she seemed to not have an answer to that at all. And instead, she said, what do you think we should do?
Oh.
What do you all think that we should do to cut costs and save jobs at this company? She asked the employees to provide that answer.
Okay.
She said her door was always open.
All right.
And she said that she was ready to hear
no
suggestions on what everyone thinks that she should do about it.
Now that's fine as long as it comes with, here's what we think we should do.
Nope. None of that.
And if there's anything you think we should do, we'd like to hear from you. That's why we're having this meeting.
Now,
when a CEO says something like, I don't know.
Well, she says that while knowing that everyone around her is taking home $600,000 to $700,000 a year, and that is where the money is.
Right.
So all these employees are thinking, "Oh shit, we're all struggling, right? Everybody's having a hard time. What are we going to do about it?" And they're like, "We're just as concerned as you are.
No.
What could we do about it?" Right?
Anytime you hear an executive go like, "I don't know," or "What do you think?" and they have no plan, it's because they're not worried. It's because they're not worried. They're not concerned.
Yeah.
And they don't think what's going on is bad. They think it's according to plan.
She says, my door is always open to you, as she closes her office door and then clips on her golden parachute and ascends up to the roof of the building before swan diving into the sunset with $1 million.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Now, the reason we bring this up is because, of course, we just found out that it's shutting down. A few days ago, February 22nd, they announced those extra few hundred layoffs.
Yep.
Which was the first sign that everything was finally folding.
Correct.
Because they had already done a round of layoffs, like you were saying, a year before. So who's left?
People are taking a look at it right now and wondering if this falls into like an illegal territory because they are based in New York, which does have laws about layoffs and notice for different sizes of companies. Right now, it seems like they are unfortunately once again slithering by within regulation to not have given 90 days of notice like New York does ask of them.
No, I bet the C-suite is being paid very well.
Yep.
And the legal team is being paid very well. The lawyers made sure that all of this was pretty above board. Because here's what's up. We're going to find out, of course, that there was tons of mismanagement of this brand. We're going to find out that there was tons of mismanagement of the funds, all of this stuff. But what we will probably find out is that there was nothing incredibly funny going on with the money other than paying the wrong people and not being smart with it. And there's
good old-fashioned greed.
Yeah, while there's a lot of nefarious stuff about that, there's nothing illegal about it. So who knows what's going to happen, right? I think in the next month, we're going to see the Vice brand or brands sold off to somebody.
Yeah.
Who knows who's going to take on the Vice brand at this point? Maybe the Vice brand dies. Maybe it's time for it to die.
I see that as likely. I don't see them getting bought again.
I don't think there's a lot of value left in the brand.
No.
Which is unfortunate. Because now we have to think of it as a brand and not a collection of people who are doing good journalism.
Which, like, again, it's like it was always a brand, but unfortunately they were using those people doing good journalism as a shield, realistically. So it's like, actually, we were wrong for thinking of it as a collective of cool people. Those people are still cool, but those people were a bunch of very wealthy people's shield.
I know this is very simple, very simplistic and very easy to say, and very obvious, but the moment there's anything that's out there to shed light, do good, tell the truth, anything like that, the moment it starts becoming a big company, it's just not about that anymore.
It can't be.
It's like how Google removed the do no evil.
Yeah.
Or the don't be evil from their stuff, because they're just like, we can't really say that.
We can't really promise that.
There's no, we were talking about it last week, unlimited growth. There's no room for unlimited growth.
No.
There's simply not, even in an ever expanding universe, there's just not enough room for unlimited growth. Not everything can be the biggest thing. And if that's all you want, you're eventually going to lose sight of what your initial mission was.
Yeah. And it's like easy to come to the idea that there is no like ethical operation under capitalism. And though that is always going to be true to some degree, because like capitalism prevents any form of genuine equity in this actual world. I feel like we could actually highlight something that's kind of nice that we didn't talk about. Which is Bob's Red Mill. Yeah,
look, there are corporations, there are companies that literally are founded on, hey, we want to do good.
Yeah.
We want to do good, and they kind of keep that focus for a long time, but it's rare. Bob's Red Mill makes some great oatmeal. If you want some steel cut oatmeal, Saige, which you don't.
I don't.
Because I know you.
Yeah.
But if you did, Bob's.
Well, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago now, the founder, Bob Moore of Bob's Red Mill, passed away at the age of 94 years old. So like he had a good run.
Yeah.
Like that's enough time. He's had enough time when nobody asks of what. You're 94. Yeah. Nobody says passed away from what, right? He's old.
Before we dive in, I just want to say, DJ or no in the live studio audience said Tom and Jerry is goated. And I think they meant Ben and Jerry, but they're right. Tom and Jerry rule. I'm not calling you out. I'm not calling you out. I think it's.
I genuinely was like, how is Tom and Jerry?
No, but Tom and Jerry, they've been doing their thing also for almost 100 years, and they haven't changed, and they've stayed close to their ideals as well. So I'm not making fun of you. I just.
That is really funny.
It's good.
Yeah,
Tom and Jerry is goated.
So something that just is worth highlighting.
Yeah, Bob's Red Mill.
Bob Moore, who has owned the company the entire time, and has always been known for making really kind working conditions. Instead of selling at any point in his life, refused to, and instead of in his death leaving it to a family member or selling off the company, it was left to his employees.
Yep.
So I want to say it was like 800 employees now own the company.
They're a co-op now.
Yeah.
Bob's Red Mill is now a co-op.
Yeah.
A worker-owned co-op. You can do these things. You can do them in the United States. People don't do them, but you can. You can, and it works out a lot of the time really well. I remember when I was living in Brooklyn, the only grocery store worth going to in Brooklyn was a co-op.
Yeah.
You joined, you paid your co-op membership fee, which was like $10, $15, and you had to work a couple hours a month. Everybody had to work a couple hours a month.
Yeah.
But in return, it was like they only stocked things that people actually wanted. You know, there was no like weird money going in and making sure that things on the shelves were the things that were supposed to be faced or whatever, like bad brands. It was only stuff that people wanted, and the prices were so ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
But you just had to work at the co-op for 2 hours a month. It was great.
That sounds lovely. I would love to work at a grocery store for 2 hours a month.
Yeah. I met a lot of people from my neighborhood that way.
I'll do it every week.
Yeah.
And then get my groceries. Look, I am a sucker for like little interactions like that. Ooh, I'd love it. Know all my neighbors. Ugh, dream.
The other great thing about that grocery store, there was so little need to help anybody because they all worked there.
Yeah.
It was just
everybody's like,
I know where it is.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, if you're busy, I can just go back and get it.
Dream. Fucking dream. So Bob began transferring the company to his employees in 2010, citing just that it was more fair.
It's just more fair.
It was just more fair that way. And now in his will, that is how it was finally left.
So many times when a company is run in this particular way, when the founder passes or retires or whatever, you watch that company go in an entirely different direction.
Yeah.
You know? But when something like this happens, you know that it's going to continue on the way it's supposed to continue on, and in the way that's like the best for the people working there.
Yeah.
There are plenty. Listen, the oatmeal's going to get to the shelf.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry. The oatmeal's going to get there.
Right.
It's just, we're just making oatmeal. Let's make sure that we're making oatmeal in a way that pays everybody well. The other thing about a worker-owned co-op is they don't worry about line go up.
Nope.
Line go up enough to keep everybody paid.
Yeah.
Line go up enough to like give everybody raise.
Right. And everybody
that's it.
seems to be pretty happy about it. And when you are able to access things like, for instance, instead of that money going to owner draw, that money being divided to the actual employees, you actually don't have to raise prices because the money isn't being sunk into one individual.
Cataclysm 6 asks if Trader Joe's is a co-op. No, Trader Joe's is staunchly anti-union.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's has been trying to union bust for the last couple months.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's has been trying to keep it quiet.
Yep.
I suggest that if you enjoy Trader Joe's, simply enjoy another grocery store.
Yeah.
It's tough because the other grocery store that you're enjoying is probably
Kroger?
Is probably owned by Albertson, Safeway, Kroger.
Yeah. There's not a lot of good options.
No.
And it's one of those things too, where like, as much as we urge you to like spend responsibly and vote with your wallet, you have to get your groceries as well. And you know, if you have a good choice, that's awesome. Like some people have H-E-B. We don't have anything like H-E-B.
No.
We literally have like, it's either owned by Aldi, owned by, you know, the Safeway, Kroger, corporate giants.
Hey, here's mostly Megan 612 in the live studio audience. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If Trader Joe's is your cheapest option, keep going to Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
If there's anything you can do, if the Trader Joe's employees are ever asking if there's ever anybody standing outside asking you to sign a petition or there's anything that you can do.
If they're an employee, don't sign random petitions. There's a lot of randos with petitions outside Trader Joe's.
I'm not telling you to sign a random petition.
But that's where all the randos with petitions do sign or do stand.
I'm saying if there's anything you can do for the employees, do it for the employees.
We're not going to shame you for getting your cheap groceries and surviving.
No.
You get your cheap groceries, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you go across the street to Albertsons, Safeway, Kroger, whatever it is, it's all the same anyway.
Yeah.
And they're not great either.
Yeah.
If you've got a locally run grocery store that you can afford, go there.
But a lot of people cannot.
But a lot of people cannot.
Yeah.
So listen, think about Sonic the Hedgehog. Mm-hmm. Sonic the Hedgehog would like you to know that there's no ethical consumption under capitalism.
Yep.
And you just got to do the best you can.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. And I thought this was a sweet story to kind of bring us back up from Vice's absolute nightmare of capitalism.
Shelley Von Miller says that Trader Joe's is the Vice of the grocery store.
That's true.
Kind of true because you walk in and everybody's like, "We're so chill, bud.
Yeah,
we love you.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you getting these? You getting these knockoff
love
Oreos?
These are my favorite.
These. Oh my god.
Ate a whole box of them.
Have you had these before? Oh my god. Ugh.
Hate it. Absolutely.
Trader Joe's employees are trained in the same way that baristas are trained, where it's like, "Are you flirting with me? You're not. You're not, and I know you're not.
Are you selling me things? But I'm already at the checkout.
I know you're not flirting with me, but you're definitely doing something to get me to come back."
Yeah. Well, in Bob Moore's, one of his later interviews in 2020 to CBS News, he said, "If I had to live my life over, I would have just started this business way earlier. I started it in the middle of my life, and I would have started sooner."
Aw.
Isn't that so wholesome?
He would have been the oatmeal man for a longer amount of time.
That's it. He would have just been the oatmeal man who profit shares for longer.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets? Oh, not enough of an oatmeal man, really.
Yeah.
I wish I had been more of an oatmeal man.
Yeah. Together, he and his wife made substantial financial contributions to Oregon universities. A lot of money went to Oregon State University, where they helped fund the Moore Family Center for Whole Grain Foods, Nutrition, and Preventative Health and the College of Human Health and Human Sciences. They just put a bunch of money into like local health organizations in Oregon. And he and his wife, who also passed away a few years earlier, were just like, yeah, seems fair.
That's nice.
Isn't that nice?
That's nice.
How often do we get to talk about a nice thing?
That's so nice.
I don't feel like we get to do that very often.
I want to bring up something. I'll bring up something as well.
I'd love to hear another nice.
This is...
I'm going to fix the camera while you do that.
This is kind of nice. There is, in the Bronx, a medical school called the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Okay. There is a college called the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Mm-hmm. And a woman named Dr. Ruth Gottsman has been a professor there since the 60s. She's worked there basically her entire life. Mm-hmm. She was married to one of the early founders of Berkshire Hathaway, the investment firm. You know what I mean? The big investment. We don't like them. But one of the amazing things that she just did as the widow of one of the founders of Berkshire Hathaway.
Love widows.
Is she gave $1 billion to this college. Uh-huh. And now tuition at this medical school in the Bronx is free for everyone.
Oh, I love that. I really mean it. I love widows.
Yeah. She was working her job at the small college because she loved it.
Yeah.
While her husband was making those billions.
Yeah.
And she was just doing good. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to make sure that now that he's gone and I'm almost gone, something good's done with this money.
Right.
$1 billion to a college. Simply given.
Wow.
Simply given. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is canceling $16,000 pie orders.
Right.
And not paying the small businesses that already started the order when he makes $23,000 a second.
How interesting. And then you've got Jeff Bezos doing interviews with his new girlfriend where they like wear cowboy hats and stand near horses.
He loves a cowboy hat.
And they talk about how much of like a fun time Jeffy actually is.
Do you remember when I told you I hate any aesthetic that is 1950s action figure?
Yeah.
It It reads incorrectly to me.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Bezos so far has tried to be astronaut and cowboy.
Yeah, rough. Not good.
That's I don't trust it.
No, it's not
I don't
good.
trust it.
Yeah.
He'll never try to be army man.
No.
He might
put on the outfit.
he'll try to do like a Tough Mudder or something.
Yeah.
He'll do one of those like fitness boot camps.
Right, exactly. That's on the inside of a bubble, completely safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, just a reminder that the hoarding of wealth is genuinely keeping us from everything.
Yeah. And it's not simply the temptation of great amounts of money, because decent people are able to be surrounded by money and do decent things with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm anti general currency, but
General currency.
But I still stand by that, you know, there are people who even surrounded by it and given the opportunity to that do not take advantage of people all the way up.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Hey, transitioning into
I know, because we went up, but
Yeah.
hey, wait. No, go back to remembering the woman who gave $1 billion for free tuition.
No, because then I ruined.
go back to
no,
Bob.
I'm segueing off of your really good statement you just made.
Yeah.
And now I'm not.
Oh.
And now I'm just bringing up a bummer to just be a bummer.
There's more bummer?
I guess. Yeah, there's more bummer.
Oh.
Supermassive,
Oh.
the developer of Until Dawn,
Yeah.
is laying off 90 people in the latest in the culling, really just the gigantic culling of the video game industry. This is after Supermassive just announced, you know, the Until Dawn movie is coming.
Yeah.
The Until Dawn remastered game is coming.
This is so sad to hear. Supermassive is one of my faves.
Yeah.
Until Dawn is one of my favorite games of all time. In their statement, they said, "It is no secret that the games industry is currently facing significant challenges, and unfortunately, we aren't immune to this. After much deliberation, and with deep regret, we are therefore undertaking a reorganization of Supermassive Games. As a result, we're entering into a period of consultation, which we anticipate will result in the loss of some of our colleagues." God, this is so overly wordy and written by a legal team. This isn't a decision that is taken lightly, with many efforts made to avoid this outcome. We are all too aware of how unsettling and difficult this process is going to be for all of our employees, and we'll be working closely with all of those involved to ensure the process is conducted as respectfully and compassionately as possible. We're focused on continuing efforts in core strengths and upcoming titles to ensure the continued sustainability of our company.
Well, this sucks.
Yeah, that's kind of like it. We have no insight into the operation of the company right now to know, you know, what exactly this comes from and what it looks like on the inside and how the company is being run.
Yeah.
So currently they're partnered with Bandai Namco to obviously keep developing the Dark Pictures anthology series, which has done 4 games so far and has a 5th in development. They're also doing a spin-off shooter game right now. And Supermassive is working on Little Nightmares 3, which the Little Nightmares franchise is also some of my favorite games of all time.
Well, this is
so this is a pretty big bummer.
this is what I'm thinking.
And a single player narrative.
I'm looking up. I'm right now. I'm trying to look up anything I can about their revenue, about earnings
their
calls, things like that,
conditions, anything.
because I'm even looking them up on Glassdoor.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, they've been having a pretty good few years.
Yeah, I mean, going into Little Nightmares 3, like Little Nightmares is a huge franchise. They've had a bunch of successful Dark Pictures games. They have the movie coming. I mean, being able to partner with these massive corporations that are, you know.
Yeah, and very
hiring
Little
them.
Nightmares did exceedingly well on iOS.
They have the a single player narrative set in the Dead by Daylight universe that got announced a while ago. So it seems like they're working on a ton of games, which would require a large team. And it
Now-
also seems like they're doing big partnerships.
90 developers is about 30% of their staff.
That's big.
That's huge.
Because they're not a massive company. That name would not imply.
Yeah. I'm just sort of like, I'm trying to look and I'm wondering if this is just something where, I don't know, with a smaller company like this, where a company is only about like, 150 people, something like that, or there are 250 people. I know that's not a small company, but it's certainly small compared to your Ubisofts and your EAs and a bunch of these
The other places that we're seeing these layoffs at.
Yeah. And so I don't want to say like, did they really need to do this? Because you never know. But it does feel like everybody's just laying off right now because it's in the middle of the wave of layoffs. Like, I feel like we're getting a lot of people that are doing it now because it's just a good time to do it because everybody else is doing it.
We'd rather be buried in the, wave of companies doing it than being the standout.
Yeah.
The Twitch gamer said, is this due to AI? I want to be very careful that we do not just jump to assuming things are AI when we have no reason to believe that it is AI. We have no reason to believe currently that Supermassive is using AI in any way that any other game studio is not, which obviously artificial intelligence is used in many stages of game development.
Is that something that people were bringing
theft.
up?
Somebody said that in the chat.
Oh, somebody said in the chat.
Yeah, I'm responding to something in the chat.
I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we gotta keep saying this.
Yeah.
You can't just say AI.
Yeah.
Like I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's losing all meaning. Exactly, Clone Chow. It's losing meaning and we're losing out on how to actually pay attention and identify when it's a problem. Because I don't think people actually understand what AI is most of the time when they're like, is it AI? Because we don't even know, you don't even know who is laid off and what positions they're in.
Yeah. Well, we were talking last week about we were talking last week. Is the movie badly written? Was it AI? Is this pop song poorly made? Was it AI? Was this business decision AI? Was this article written by AI?
Right.
It's fine to think about.
Yeah, AI should be something that you keep in mind, but there's no reason to assume it, and I think that we should. And it's not to defend the company. I have no defense for Supermassive because I do not know how their company operates. But what I will say is, we shouldn't jump to it's probably AI in layoffs or something like that until we have any reason to believe so. And we should be more specific when we discuss AI about what we mean by that.
Right.
AI what, right? Because artificial intelligence in general, is not a negative thing. AI theft is a negative thing.
Sure.
But AI in general is a technology that you and everyone else uses in their everyday life. And I guarantee the company uses a good amount of, but that doesn't mean they're AI art generating or AI writing or, any of those things.
Yeah. So who knows why, but it does feel odd. I mean, but it also feels odd because a lot of these layoffs feel odd. A lot of these layoffs feel odd across the industry because why? Because why? So many of these companies are announcing that games have done better than they've ever done. They're announcing plans for 7 or 8 titles in advance. They're announcing all of these things. By all metrics, they're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Supermassive is, but I'm saying it's okay to ask these questions at this time because these layoffs make almost no sense. They make sense in the most basic cynical way, which is unfortunately the truth in this situation, which is line don't go up enough.
Yeah.
Stock value didn't go up enough.
Right.
Even though companies across the board are making record profits these days, stock values are not rising. And too many companies don't look at the money they have in the bank and run off of that. They run off of the valuation of their stock.
Exactly. And Alex did make a good point, which is Supermassive was acquired by an investment company last year, Nordisk Games, which we did talk about at the time. So honestly, at the end of the day, then you look at who's making those decisions and it's no longer somebody who has a heart and soul inside the company or is an employee in the company, right? The difference of the separation of the working class versus the owning class is once something is acquired by a company, the people who own it no longer work inside the business.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this is
the
what we're
decisions
seeing.
are not made inside the office, you know?
This is what we're seeing so much with Embracer. The Embracer deal went bad and they just acquired so many, these investment firms just acquire things.
Yeah.
You're a blip in the portfolio. You're a baseball card, you're a Pokemon card in their binder. Yeah. And it's well, if I sell these 2 Pokemon cards, I can get a better Pokemon card later.
Let's open consumption private equity. How's that?
Yeah.
Or just consume. Because then I think it has a double meaning of consumers purchasing things, right? And also we are consuming.
We should just call it layoff industries.
Ooh, I like it. Do you think that's taken?
I don't think so. Unsilent Will says Devour Incorporated.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. This is a lot of it's big problems. It's big problems. Consolidation is big problems. And remember, when people are trying to make different things the scapegoats here, usually they'll try to make like rising costs of labor and things like that the scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
The rising cost of labor is not the problem. The rising cost of labor is something that they can cover. What they cannot cover is telling the dark, shadowy figures who whisper in their ears in their eldritch language that bought their company why the line didn't go up enough.
Right.
That's it.
And it was the humans. The problem was the humans.
Whoa.
So we just get rid of the humans. We think about the line and the company and not the people. So get rid of the people.
Oh God. The amount of stuff that is partially written by AI now, and a lot of the larger media outlets are not doing it or not doing it as obviously.
Yeah.
But the smaller media sites and the sites that just try to SEO they're just trying and SEOing harder than they've ever tried in SEO thanks to AI.
Right.
Just posting just garbage wrong articles to the top of Google right now.
Yeah.
It is so rough.
Google is like a little bit unusable right now.
Google's nothing.
Google is absolutely trash right now. Like as a search engine.
I literally put anything into Google and the first page
is all sponsored.
Sponsored and placed and SEO'd.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get a direct answer to a question on Google anymore.
Sure can't. It's a hellscape. It was interesting. We talked a while ago about how Gen Z was primarily using TikTok as their search engine. And we were like, what the hell? Like how? Whoa. And then it's like, well, I guess what else?
Yeah, I feel like
it's not good. I'm not saying that's a good thing. That's going to be bad. That's also going to have a bad result. But I'm like, shit, I get not using Google. I get that like that is not a viable source for information.
I might as well get a real human that's wrong and believes it than a Google search result that's an advertiser.
Exactly.
At least the person on TikTok believes what they're saying.
Right. Let's jump into continuing a little bit of games news. That Helldivers news. It seems like the servers issue's clearing up.
Yeah. Over the weekend, the servers were serving.
Mm-hmm.
What were they serving? They were serving Starship Troopers.
Serving a little bit of cunt.
A little bit of Starship Trooper cunt.
You can't say it. I can say it. And Alex can say it. You're the only one in the building who can.
The only one?
Yeah.
Wow. So apparently people were not able to log in.
Yeah.
Now they can log in.
Yeah.
People can play. Mm-hmm. It's happening. The world is moving. The divers are diving. The hell is hell.
Yeah.
But there's a new hell for the hell divers, Saige. And I want to say before we move on to this, what this team has been doing, the dev team has been doing, to increase the capacity and make the game better for people. Kudos to them. I'm sure a lot of people are doing a lot of work. I hope everybody is not doing too much work.
Yeah, we hope there's no crunch happening.
But
we have no reason currently to say that there is.
But kudos to them for fixing these issues and getting them together. Because these are the things that can completely sink a game. They really can tank a game and ruin the experience. But they've really done a great job. Now they have to deal with the players.
So what is this?
So there is the Helldivers community is now getting real opinionated 2 weeks into this game. People are already posting things like this that was posted on the Helldivers Steam community tab that say, hey, we need to set the standard for 8-person plus missions. If they're using anything but the right breaker gun, kick them. If they have worthless stratagems that are weak, kick them. If they don't have either the railgun or the nade launcher, kick them. Basically telling people, like, if you're not min-maxing and you're not taking Helldivers seriously, why are you playing Helldivers? And the entire community, if you look, like, the entire community is going back and forth on this. This is becoming like a very big conflict within the Helldivers subreddit, within the Helldivers community.
Damn it. We didn't get in before these happened.
I knew we wouldn't.
Yeah. We were talking about it. We were like, do we get in? And if you don't get in before these guys happen, you can't. It's too late.
Now, the interesting thing about this is Helldivers is PvE.
Mm-hmm.
And there aren't like leaderboards.
Right.
there's no Helldiver of the week.
Sure.
This is
Hey, you're my Helldiver of the week.
this is just a PvE game where people are thrown in randomly, and it's just like, go. You're literally a soldier in Starship Troopers. Survive if you can.
Fun.
You know, this is the kind of game where the the resupply capsule, like if you're standing where the resupply capsule drops, it falls on you and you die. It's one of those games where it's just like
silly good time.
Silly good time. You're gonna get blown away by a robot or a bug.
Yeah.
It's not about this.
Yeah.
And the community is going back and forth on it. I'm not, but some of these quotes here, I'm not saying meta build or nothing. I'm just saying people who don't play on the Hell Dive difficulty are the ones who seem to suggest to others not to use the meta build. Trust me, there's nothing fun about taking a shieldless autocannon Liberator Penetrator loadout to Hell Dive difficulty. Try that one time and tell me you had fun.
Try and say it again.
Tell me, excuse me, if you're not doing it the right way, how could you, if you're not doing it the optimal way, how could you be having fun?
If you're not going in with the Tim Tam Slim Slam,
then
like,
number one, God, I wish we could get a Tim Tam Slam.
Yeah.
Number two, this is like going to your grandmother's house to do a puzzle with her, and she yells at you for not putting the edge pieces together first.
I thought it was going to be you yelling at your grandmother for it. But
no, I mean, I yell at my grandmother a lot.
Okay, that's normal.
A lot.
Like 50 Cent.
She's just a dumb old lady.
Yeah. Like
Just
famously, 50 Cent.
What a dumb old person. And I'm just, she doesn't get
her
it.
in line,
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember 50 Cent yelling at his grandmother about the trash.
Yeah.
Look, everybody's playing this game. It is the most popular game in the world right now. It is crushing. And some people just want to play to have a good time. Some of the Helldivers community is about, I'm going to say that looking at it, it's about 25% trash people and about 75% people who are saying, no, people should be allowed to have fun. Most of the Helldivers community on Reddit actually like kind of RPs, like they talk in universe.
Cute.
And they talk, the way they would. There's just like, no, we've got to fight for democracy. The only good bug's a dead bug. And
Adorable.
any comrade who wants to join me in the fight is ready to join. I don't care what kind of gun you got.
Yeah.
Like,
Cute.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But this sort of...
But I've been making this face the whole time you've been talking here about
I know.
this article.
Any online squad shooting game, unfortunately still has a lot of this mindset, which is part of the reason why I don't play a lot of this stuff online.
Yeah.
If I don't have a group of friends that's playing it,
Right.
I never go into a public matchmaking on just about any game.
Yeah. If you don't have 7 people to play with, you better not be having fun. You better not be trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
If you don't have 7 other people that want to get online and play with you, no 8 matches.
If you know 7 other clowns that want to go to Clown Town with you, that want to put on their clown shoes and play this game the absolute goof way.
If not, kick.
If not, you better have the Ultra Pulse Mega 031 rifle for this particular type of mission. And if I see you're wearing anything but the Skarsgård 7 body armor, I'm kicking you immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I'd like to think not kicking you out, just kick. A little kick in the shin.
Comrade Calith.
I go with Comrade Kia most of the time.
Comrade Kia.
They've changed their name multiple times.
Comrade Kia the 9, there it is, says, when I play, I am clown. Same. Any game I go on to, I am clown.
Yeah.
I am absolutely clown. If there is something I can do that will help us win versus something that is funny, I go for the bit.
Yeah.
Just like I do in real life. I'm not a winner in real life either.
No.
I go for the bit.
I'm made up of shenanigans.
Oh, please.
I'm just 3 shenanigans in a trench coat.
Oh my gosh, I'm 3 shenanigans to the wind. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
My horseplay?
Yeah.
It's off the charts. My lackadaisy attitude? Pervasive.
I dilly and I dally.
Oh, The dallying I do on
Yeah.
the daily. Ridiculous.
Absolutely dilly.
I absolutely do not care about serious ranking in anything. And I never have.
No.
And when video games were entirely about that, like 6th gen, 7th gen,
Oh, yeah.
I had a bad time as somebody who always loved video games.
Same.
Because there was like nothing for me to do.
Yeah.
I would go over to people's houses and play like a Halo or a COD with them
Right.
and just be like, look at me. Look what I'm doing. I'm a horse. And they're like, no, you're not a horse. And it's like, well, I'm horsing around like one. And they're like, nope. Nope. What you are is not invited to game night anymore.
Oh, all right.
I was the guy who used to just drive the warthog up the side of the canyon.
Yeah.
And flip it and just be like, drive in the opposite direction of things.
Yeah. I was the guy who would drive the warthog out of bounds so you get blown up.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's
you
good
see
to
how
do.
long you can live. You go, oh, missed one. Landmine. Whoop.
Whoopsie.
Oopsie.
Everybody's allowed to have fun with games. That's what games are for.
They're literally games.
They're just literally
That's so
part of the
silly.
thing.
That's so silly.
But so I do love how much of the Helldivers community.
Why don't we flip that in
Do
the
you
other
think they
direction?
call them? Do you think they call themselves Hellgivers? Little Hellgivers.
Yeah.
They're just silly little Hellgivers.
Why don't we flip it instead of being like, if you want to have a good time, you have to have a private match, and instead being like, if you want to take this really seriously, why don't you find 7 other people that are also very serious about this and
Yeah.
play in a private game?
Head to a private
Instead
game.
of being like, everyone here, no good times, no silly funny guys, okay? I don't want any funny guys in the group, all right?
What if there was a shenanigans system where you could choose if you wanted shenanigans and the level of shenanigans?
Yeah, I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
Instead of choosing like difficulty when you're going in,
Mhm.
you're choosing like goofs level.
Yeah.
I love that. I'd also like to shout out Tom Biden, the live studio audience, who wrote it as hell divas, but it could also be pronounced like hell divas, but spelled out divas.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that.
That's good.
I like hell divas. I play hell divers with my hell divas. It's cute.
It's cute.
10 out of 10. Excellent suggestion.
Everybody be cool. And when you're playing with somebody who is bad or silly or
Yeah.
oftentimes a literal child,
Yeah.
just be chill about it.
We don't have a lot of time, but speaking of playing with literal children in video games, there's a rumor that the Avatar The Last Airbender characters are coming to Fortnite, and that means they're going to give an Uzi to 12-year-old Aang, the peaceful monk.
Now this is a rumor that is coming from a pretty prolific Fortnite leaker.
Uh-huh.
So this is something that you can take not as gospel, but it's a pretty solid rumor. It may or may not happen, but it's certainly in the works.
This VG 24/7 headline with like
It's
the
so
image
good.
is so funny of Aang with 2 guns on his back that says, "I've certainly never used violence to take a life." That's really funny.
I feel similarly to this as I feel about like when Superman joined Fortnite.
I knew it was going to be Superman.
Of course it's Superman,
Yeah.
because Superman and Aang, both sweet guys
Yeah.
who only want to do the best and they don't want to hurt people.
Yeah, but Aang is 12.
Aang is 12.
There is the additional factor of Aang being 12.
Sure, but neither one of them should have an Uzi.
Sure. I can agree with that. I won't fight you on
Also, here's the other thing. Neither one of them need one.
that. No.
They do better without one, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Now, this is apparently supposed to come to Fortnite and Lego Fortnite. Lego Fortnite, I could almost see it working better in because they tone that stuff down a bit for Lego Fortnite.
Yeah.
It's a bit more about the puzzles and things.
Uh-huh.
But boy, there sure is something about seeing Aang or Katara with a machine gun that I don't know about.
I don't like it.
Now, Zuko, sure.
Yeah, right.
I feel like if Zuko was around, if Zuko had known about gun,
Azula?
if Azula knew about gun,
Are you kidding me? Azula with a fucking rocket launcher?
if Azula
100%.
knew rocket launcher was an
100%.
option,
Honestly, rest in peace, Azula. You would have loved rocket launchers.
yeah. Now, there is something. I mean, this is always the case with the licenses that Fortnite chooses, where there's always some characters where it works better than others.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind that Kylo Ren's got a gun.
Sure.
Kylo Ren Superman? Sure.
Yeah. And there's blasters in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So overall, Star Wars not as hard of a sell for me.
Yeah, Boba Fett,
Yeah.
Din Djarin, and
Yeah.
they should have put a little Grogu in there, really. But you know, when they put
So
in
you can
like
shoot at the baby.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the baby can shoot back.
Great.
The one that was weird was when they put like Rey in,
Yeah.
and I was just like, Rey's not gonna. Well, I mean, Rey's not gonna take a machine gun to people.
Right.
It's not really her thing.
Sure.
Like she'll use a blaster, but
I'm
like
less concerned with that than her.
no, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
with the DC universe, when they put DC characters in, it's like sure, the Joker's got a shotgun.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the Joker have a
Batman
shotgun?
hates guns.
Harley Quinn's got a shotgun. Great.
Sure, absolutely.
Batman, Superman.
hate guns.
Batman, Superman.
Yeah.
Have gun.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll see if this comes to be true. I'm very curious. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like that's highly likely.
Yeah.
They gave Ariana Grande a gun, man. I think.
They-
I don't know. Maybe she just performed in Fortnite.
No,
but I like to picture that she runs around as in her little
There is an Ariana
VMAs outfits.
Yeah, there is an Ariana skin.
So like
you
know.
can gun.
So you know.
Sam and Cat and gun.
Right.
Disney's presents
Yeah,
Sam and Cat and
Lady
gun.
Gaga's gonna have a gun. Yeah. You know. Tom Biden also said Rugrats in Fortnite.
Rugrats win. Rugrats win.
Chucky.
Okay, so here's the question though. This is a literal technical question that people have had. Peter Griffin, Fortnite's Peter Griffin.
I've heard of him.
They had to make Peter Griffin buff because if he wasn't, the hitbox on the model would be different than everybody else. So when you play in Fortnite, you're buff Peter Griffin. They made like a joke about it. 12-year-old child.
Yeah.
Are they gonna make Aang ripped? Are they gonna do ripped Aang?
Does he just have to be taller and bigger?
Shadow Aang?
I mean,
sleep paralysis Aang?
are we getting an
just
adult
very long,
Aang?
skinny?
Are we getting an adult Aang? Or is he gonna be really hard to hit? Oh, that image is fucking hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, you have, oh my gosh. They did a whole thing when they announced Peter Griffin. It was wild. It'll be interesting to see if they were going to choose.
They also did Ariana Grande in her I sure am tanning a lot phase.
Oh yeah.
They did Ariana Grande in her I wake up and choose my race phase.
Yeah. So I'm wondering from the license, there are appropriate characters that you can use. I'm just wondering if like the appropriate characters are the ones that people are going to want to be.
Right. Ooh, I got to back up Sarah on this, who said Avatar Kyoshi. Avatar Kyoshi
Dude,
would also love
Kyoshi
guns.
would love a gun.
Kyoshi would love guns.
Kyoshi would love a gun.
Rest in peace, Kyoshi. You would
Fire
love
Lord
guns.
Ozai would love a gun.
Yeah.
I think Zuko would love a gun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody from the Fire Nation with a gun?
Yeah. So it's all the Fire Nation and Avatar Kyoshi.
I could see Boomy running around with a gun and cackling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I don't think he'd aim at
he's
anybody.
got one of
though.
those that just says bang though.
Yeah.
He's got the Joker style gun. I stand by that Uncle Iroh would have also loved guns. Notorious war criminal, Uncle Iroh.
Tea-loving war criminal Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
Belongs in Fortnite. I also say, give Momo a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get wild with it.
Yeah.
Bring in a platypus bear. Give it a gun.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. Do
Appa
it.
can hold 4 guns.
Appa can hold 4 guns. That's actual artwork from the game.
This is official Fortnite
That's
artwork.
official Fortnite artwork. Oh, God.
Oh, Jet would have loved guns. Shit, maybe they're right. Maybe they're onto something.
They're onto something.
Maybe they are onto
something.
something.
There are plenty of characters I think you could give gun. Saige, can I give one final quick piece before we leave today?
You may.
Because we're just about out of time. Werner Herzog finally saw Barbie.
And what do you think?
He's only watched 30 minutes of it. He says that he watches movies in segments. He said he's only watched 30 minutes. He does not have an opinion until he's watched the whole thing, but he said, could it be that the world of Barbie is sheer hell? And I was like, yes, from the first 30 minutes, that is a good lesson to take.
No, it's not. It's still really pleasant in the first 30 minutes.
But
Sure, she's trying to figure out if,
from
like,
a-
she's
but
worrying
that's
about
the thing.
dying.
From a Werner Herzog
Yeah.
point of view, here is a woman who has free thought
Uh-huh.
and ideas of her own
Yeah.
and dark ideas, which
Yeah.
are being shunned by the community and are casting her as an outcast.
Sure.
In this bright, beautiful world that is hiding what is really underneath human nature.
Maybe he just can't stand to see a diva slay. You know what I mean?
I think when
Maybe
he watches-
maybe Werner Herzog just can't handle to see a woman win. You know what I mean? Can't handle to see the ladies slaying.
I'd hate to attribute that to Werner Herzog, but
Maybe
maybe he watches the rest of the movie and he loves it because it does deliver on what he's thinking.
Yeah.
There is something wrong with
Yeah.
Barbie's world, and they
Sure.
are going to fix it.
Yeah.
I love Werner Herzog, and I love the Barbie movie.
Yeah. So
Barbie Land could be an endless hell for some people. Sure.
Yeah. Sarah also said, I would argue that Werner Herzog is a diva who slays.
That's right.
So, in that scenario, I take it back.
I remind
if now I can't prove this, but if Werner Herzog
Yeah.
is a diva who slays, I retract my statement.
Here's what I'm going to remind everybody, as I remind everybody of this whenever I can. Werner Herzog got shot during an interview and continued the interview. He said, "It is an insignificant bullet. I am unafraid." And continued the interview.
Somebody tried to slay.
Somebody tried. He slays. He is not slain. He is unslayable.
He's unslain.
Cannot be slayed. Into every generation is born one.
Yeah. All right, that's all the show that we have time for.
That's right. Werner Herzog dragged a boat over a mountain. That's right.
I hope he watches the rest of the film. I wait with bated breath to hear the rest of his review. I don't know how long it takes him to get through these movies in chunks, but I hope he loves it.
I hope so too. I think he will.
Yeah.
It's a great film. Thank you, everybody. We hope that you loved this episode of our very good show.
And if you did, and you're watching on YouTube later, or you're watching on Twitch right now, and you want to go check out the YouTube later and do this, like the video, subscribe, leave a comment. I'm sure I told you a million things you should comment about during the episode. I'm not going to figure out a new one now.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of things that you can comment about. But mostly, which cartoon do you give real gun?
Ooh. Yeah, who should be in Fortnite? Who should have a gun? Who would have loved guns?
Who would have loved guns? Who do you wish could have just had a gun? Another thing we'd love for you to check out is the Patreon. That's a huge deal.
It's very cool. We've had a lot of lovely new folks joining over there because we've also had a lot of content going up there. That's patreon.com/Pixel Circus.
That's right. And you are helping us do things like get rid of the wet corner and fix the bare wires that are electrocuting everybody all day.
And keep the steel beam at exactly 6 feet.
That's right. Other ways that you can help us out include just sharing the show with friends. We love everybody who shares it when we go live. That's very, very kind of you.
We love everybody who joins the Discord and suggests stories over there. We love knowing what you want to hear us talk about because we could talk about anything, really.
That's right. We also just love people who directly give us cash.
It's very cool of you as well. We always have a sugar breakfast goal running on the TVs behind us. So if you don't want to join something on a monthly membership basis, you can just throw a little money at that. And that's how we eat.
That's right. That's
It's
how
very
all of
cool
this
of
stuff
you.
happens.
We are going to go through and we're going to thank everyone who did so during the show today on Twitch. But first, Anthony, where are you when you're not here? Where can they find you?
In the shadows with the long ang.
Nice.
Where you can't see us. But also
Yeah.
you can find me everywhere online at Carboni, except for Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni. And I swear I'm going to stream at least once before this month is over. And I know I don't have much time left.
Okay.
But follow me and wait for that.
Yeah. I just,
What about you, Saige? As you water everywhere.
it's actually
Water.
Crumbs. Water.
Crumbs.
Earth is crumbs.
A crumb bender. I'm a bit of a crumb bender.
Sounds British.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oi, see that guy over there? Bit of a crumb bender.
You can find me
Isn't it?
everywhere on the internet at Not Sage. I stream on my channel Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So I will be live tonight. Thank you so much. Very cool of you.